Hey guys, what's up? It's your girl Bonita, and I'm back with another video for you. I know the last time that I was on here, we talked about different tips and advice for studying and for passing different exams and tests within college and things like that. So far, where I'm at now in my anatomy and physiology class, I am down to, I think I'm down to a couple weeks. Actually, the class finishes on the 21st or the 22nd. And I think today is the 6th. Today is July the 6th. So I'm down to probably a couple weeks of class, which is really exciting for me. I actually, next week, I have I think Friday, I have another exam that's due, exam 4. And which means after that exam, I'll only have one more exam and a final, which will be due the exact same week. So I'm really down to the wire. I'm on module 4, which is about the brain system. And after this module, I'll be in module 5, which will be the last module. So it's really been going good. The class been going pretty good. Can't really complain about it. Today's video is just gonna be me updating you on what else is going on in my life, just updating you on the job situation and updating you on what's next. What do I have to do next outside of the school stuff? Because as you can tell, I am a very busy mom. I'm very busy single mom, and I know there's a lot of other busy single moms, single fathers in the world, and so I commend you all for what it is that you do. Today I'm drinking on peppermint tea. That's my drink, is peppermint tea. I find peppermint tea to be so relaxing. It's one of my favorites because I feel like peppermint also energizes you and wakes you up if you feel like you're in a downward spiral kind of thing. So this is what I'm drinking today. So updating you on what I have coming up next for the program that I'm trying to get into is, I don't know if you go back to some of my previous videos, I talked about how I have a big test coming up, that I actually have to pass this test in order to be able to apply for the program I'm trying to apply for. That test is scheduled on July the 19th. It's scheduled on July the 19th. I am preparing for that exam as well. So that's something that I'm preparing for as well. Sorry guys, I just love this peppermint tea. So I'm probably gonna sip on it quite a bit because, I mean, what's love is love, you know, and I love this tea. So something else that's going on, I am at the kidney center. And the center that I'm employed with is Fresenius, and I've been with the center for a couple weeks now, and I'm still in training because it's 12 weeks of training. And so my training will go all the way until a couple weeks in August. I'll still be training in August before I actually graduate from the training. What's interesting about that is I go about an hour away to the center, dialysis training center, because I am a patient technician for dialysis. And so we go to that center at least once, twice, maybe 3 times a week. And when I'm not at the dialysis training center, then I'm here in my local center at my clinic that I was hired for. I work in the clinic. So last week, I definitely did 3 days in the clinic, and it was 3 10-hour days. So my regular shift will be 4 work days, 10 hours long, and then a day off, and maybe every other weekend. So this should be entertaining, and so I should probably tell you now how it's went so far, because I did a couple 10-hour day shifts so far, and I'm a part of the opening team. So I wake up at 4 a.m. in the morning to be at my center by 5 a.m. in the morning at my clinic. You know, at first I was thinking, okay, I wonder how this is gonna go, because I'm not necessarily a morning person. But at the same time, when I'm up, and I like to go ahead and function and do everything I need to get done. I'm wide-eyed, wide awake, and I'm ready to just get it on in and do what I have to do. Honestly, I've transitioned very well. I've been able to get up on time, no problem, be awake, go to bed at a decent time. I try to go to bed by at least 9 p.m., believe it or not, or at least be in bed at that time, because I know if I'm in bed at that time, 10 o'clock at the latest, I'm asleep. That's my hope it to be. That's how I'll be wanting it to be. And sometimes it has been that way. Sometimes, you know, it hasn't. So I'm able to get there wide awake, and right now it's a bit of a learning process. Although last week, because I did more 10-hour shifts, I actually was able to do a lot more hands-on things, which I really enjoyed. And what I can tell you about the 10-hour shifts is that it goes by fast. It does go by fast. It's not a drag. It's not a situation where you're at work and you're like, oh my goodness, help me if this time don't go by. No, time goes by so fast, because it actually is so much to do. And so one of the things that we do with the patients is that their vitals have to be checked every 30 minutes. Their blood pressure is automatically set to be read every 30 minutes. But we have to actually do their vitals every 15 minutes. So that's just making sure that you go do the vitals, you enter everything into the system, into the computer, and you sign off on it to say you are the tech that did these vitals. So that's something that always has to be done. Patients always have to be monitored to make sure they're feeling okay, they're doing okay. And those are questions that you actually have to ask the patients. You know, is everything okay? You doing good? You feeling all right? You sure? Also observations so that you can notice when the patient isn't feeling quite well, so that you can say, hey, you know, you don't look too well. How's it going? You know, because sometimes patients can be reluctant to say anything, you know, and sometimes they're asleep, you know, as well. So when they sleep, we don't wake them up, you know, but that means we need to be watching these vitals closely. And normally that would be 1 tech for 5 patients. And then you have a bay buddy, which is across from you. It's across from me, and she's in charge of her own 5 patients as well. But how the bay buddies help each other out is that when she goes to lunch or she goes to the bathroom, I'm in charge of her patients. So that in turn gives me 10 patients. And that's 10 patients I need to do vitals on every 15 minutes. So that alone, as you can see, if you had 10 patients and you're doing vitals every 15 minutes, that alone will keep you busy doing that. And then when it's time for shift changeover, that means the morning patients who've been there for about 3 to 4 hours, they're going out. Equipment need to be cleaned down, needs to be set back up, because you have more patients coming in. So you see how that works. So it can get pretty, you know, busy, not in a point that you hustling too much or anything like that, but just a steady kind of bit busy. You know, everything is steadily going. Every machines need to be set up on time, within a timely manner. You know, so that's most of the stuff that I've learned how to do, is just making sure that my chairs are sanitized, clean, set up. When the patient comes in, I immediately put the blood pressure cuff on them, because they have to do a standing blood pressure as well as a sitting blood pressure. So those are things that I was allowed to do. And like I say, do the vitals, all the vitals. I was allowed to do that. I was allowed to do some other stuff, you know. I don't want to talk about it yet, because I don't want to get anybody in trouble or anything like that. But I was allowed to do a little bit more stuff, because I guess my preceptor felt like I was capable, you know, to be able to do some more stuff. So at times they'll actually do more stuff. And I also was able to set up machines. That's one of the main things that the preceptor will have you doing, is practice setting up machines, because that's a big part of the job. And so that's something for the last 2 weeks I was working on, is setting up machines, taking the vitals, and because it's so much more stuff to learn, and so you just learn them at different pieces of time, you know. So and at the end of this training, I will have a big, I think it is 150 question test, something like that. I'll have to do, and I'll have to pass that with at least an 80. So this is going to be challenging a little bit, but I don't foresee it to be too challenging, because again, this is something that I'm actively doing while I'm training. I'm actively working, and I'm actually doing the stuff that I'm learning and that I'm actually going to be tested on. So, and once I pass that test, then I'll be considered graduated from the training. And there's a lot of book knowledge and book work that we have to learn as well. So on top of my college school class that I have going on, also in class for my job as well, in training for my job. So busy bumblebee I am. And then I also have a big test on that end coming up also. So the good thing is that as far as my Fresenius test, it won't be until sometime in August. So I'll be done with my class that I'm taking right now, and I'll be done with the test that I have to take to get into the program. So that's wonderful. That's wonderful. So that's where I'm at right now. And I just want to say that when you find yourself in a situation of, as adults, you know, we do find ourselves in situations where there is a lot that we have to accomplish, a lot of tasks that we have to get done, and we might not have a lot of time, or sometimes it seems like they're piling up, you know, against each other, or there's one task after the next task, you know, and we're just trying to keep it together, keep it in order. And this will be where it goes into play from my last video when I talked about organization. It's all about being organized. It's all about doing what you can do and are capable of doing, and doing it one day at a time, one step at a time. Not feeling like you gotta jumble everything at once, but just doing what you can do, work on what you can do, and work on your strengths. I think for me, coming in to the kidney center, one of my strengths is I'm a licensed phlebotomist, certified phlebotomist, and I've been a certified phlebotomist for about 5 years now. So with that, I'm definitely used to blood. I'm definitely used to needles. You know, none of that scares me or put any kind of fear in me. But there's other techs that this is terrifying to them, because this is the first time that they had to approach or have to interact or do any of this. So I say that to say that would be my strength, right? You know, being that I have experience in that aspect. So that's what I pull from is that, because that's where I have the strength at. So, and I think that that helps me not to feel like I'm getting overwhelmed, I'm getting bombarded, you know, pull from the things that I know. I also, kidney disease and dialysis plays a big part within my family. I've had family members that have had to be on dialysis, um, that are pretty close to me, you know, and I've had family members who've had a kidney transplant. So I definitely am familiar with it, and it definitely is close to heart with me. You know, it's very close to heart with me. And because of that, it's so interesting, you know, that I want to learn as much as I can learn about it, because I'm like, wait a minute, I didn't know all of this and I didn't know all of that. So it just can be very, very, very interesting, you know, when it comes to that aspect. And these are things that I'm able to share with the patients, you know, because these patients who come in, they're coming 3 times a week, you know, and they're not feeling the best. They're not in the best kind of mood, you know, and for them to talk to somebody who knows what they're going through and knows somebody close to them that is going through that, man, it's comforting to them. You know, you can see the look on their faces. You know, they want to engage. And that's one of the other things I like about this job versus when I worked at the hospital was I didn't have the time to be able to talk to the patients and get one-on-one with the patients. I had to hurry up, go in there, do my blood draws, and leave kind of thing. With this job, I'm able to be more personable, have more one-on-one time with the patients so that I can talk to the patients more, assess them more, and get to know them better, which is something that I love doing. And another one of my backgrounds is I used to be a mental and behavioral health counselor. So again, sometimes we don't know what all we have that can be helpful or could be a strength to a job until we really start thinking about it and be like, wait a minute, you know. But a lot of these patients are dealing with different mental situations. Because think about how draining it is mentally to have to go through this 3 times a week. You know, can be a lot of these patients, they talk about going through depression, you know, and just trying to figure it out in life. So it's definitely, I think it's I'm I guess it's not overwhelming me yet because it's it's just such an interesting topic, you know, on the fact that it is a little close to home for me. So yeah. So that's what I got going on, which seems to be a lot, but I wanted to just get back with you guys. I know I'm not maybe as consistent as I could be, but I'm trying to do as much as I can do, you know, like I just said, and I'm trying to show up when I can show up for you guys and just keep everything transparent and tell you guys as much as I can tell you, because like I said, I'm not a gatekeeper, you know, and I don't mind sharing information. Also, if you have an interest in maybe getting into becoming a patient care technician for dialysis, definitely contact your local dialysis center, because one thing is dialysis is always hiring, and not because they're short staff or anything, but because this is such a bigger field than what I even knew about. You know, there's so many centers, you know, there's so many shifts, you know, and there's definitely a need for patient care techs within the dialysis center. So definitely check into that, you know, if you have an interest in that, or you can definitely leave me a comment here, email me, send me an email, and I'll definitely email you back with any information I can give you that might be helpful to you. And if you have a family member that's going through this situation, that's going through dialysis, just love on them, be patient with them, you know, and understand that they're going through something bigger than what you can even imagine, and it's out of their hands. It's not anything that they can control. And so just give them grace, you know, give them grace. All right, well, I know one thing I haven't got to read as much in my book because I've been so busy, really, so I do need to try to get back on that today. After I do my homework, then I'll get back on that, and we'll just go from there. But I can tell you I'm really, really excited about my program. I don't even know if I know I will get into this program. I do know that. I've spoken that into existence. I just don't know if it'll be this time that I apply for the program or next time, but either way you slice it, I'm getting into this program. And in all honesty, I can't wait to share it with you, you know, because I feel like I've been holding so much in. You guys know some things, but y'all don't know about the program that I'm even trying to get into. And I can't wait to be able to share that information with you guys. So I don't want to take up too much more of your time. I already took up enough. You know, I love you guys, and I gotta go. Until next time, you know, it's Benita.